I'll tell you guys one more thing. Let's talk about just regulate emotion. There's something that's a side thing. It's just a little bonus. What does it mean to be triggered, you guys think? All right, what else? All right, so you get triggered at what? Some are small, some are big.
Most of it's like the small thing that I like. It's a big thing that happened and I didn't react to, and then something small happened.
Something big and like it triggers an emotion that you've had before.
Yep.
Or something else.
What else? Who's been triggered by another agent? Right? Who gets triggered by your coworker sometimes? Right? Who gets triggered by? So here's the reality. The level in which you get triggered comes down to your ability to regulate emotion. What does that mean? Yeah, so if I have a lot of stuff going on and my bandwidth is eaten up, like the internet or something, right? My bandwidth's eaten up, one or two little things stack on it, guess what? Blows up. That's why it's so important for you guys to create space. That's why I send the YouTube videos every morning. That's why I watch the YouTube videos every morning. That's why I do my stacks in the morning. So I'm setting myself back at zero, filling the cup. Does this make sense? But I've noticed this a lot, and this is one of the most powerful skill sets you can have is the ability to regulate emotion. Does this make sense? But I'm going to give you guys something that's important to look at and notice this a lot. Just from some of the stuff I hear say, I want you guys to write this. Being triggered is a choice. What does that mean? No problem. Trigger what somebody else does. And so what does that tell me about my ability to regulate emotion? I want you to think about this, right? Triggered is a choice. I'm driving down the road, somebody cuts me off, I go crazy, I swerve at them. Now, I've been guilty of this before, right? I swerve at them, I cuss at them, it ruins my next 10 minutes, whatever it is, or hour or day. Whose fault is that? I'm the one that's the problem. Why? Because did they hit my car? Did they wreck my car? Now, if they wreck me into the guardrail, then I got a reason to be. But if they cut me off or they swerve in front of me or they hit the brakes and I'm triggered, that's my fault. And that comes back to my inability to regulate emotion. And that's a very powerful lesson, and it's a tough lesson for a lot of people to realize. Client comes in, client does something, you get triggered. Whose fault is that? Yours. And I'm making a decision. Here's the thing. There's two ways to say. I guess the choice would be it's more of a decision, right? That's a better choice of decision. But here's the crazy part. Most of you guys are living on these triggers that are unconscious. So what does that mean? You have patterns that have been ingrained in you so much. Somebody does something, somebody says something, somebody gets a bill, somebody doesn't get a bill. Somebody says they got this or appointment or whatever it is, you get triggered about it. Guess what? Does that affect you directly? But why are you going to let it ruin 30 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour of your day and take you off your game? Because I have the inability to regulate emotion. And I want you guys to be the point where you're elite, where guess what? Whatever they do, doesn't even matter. Because all I can control is what? Me. Right? There could be times I might be at a disadvantage. Yeah. Maybe times I don't get the break I want. Yeah. But everything else that matters is how I show up and how I recover and how I come back from that. Does that make sense? And so if I'm getting clients who are triggering me, that's my problem. I got to get to a point where I can regulate my emotion. Now, this does go to bandwidth too. So the more bandwidth I have, the better I am at regulating emotion. First comes the skill set, which is what? My ability to, number one, recognize that I'm getting triggered. Two, would be my ability to what? Change or regulate emotion in terms of what I do. Make sense? And the third piece is I stay in an empowered state. Meaning, I don't really worry about it. And that's the point you want to get to, which is what? I call it, right? No matter what happens, no matter what it is, hey, no big deal. It is what it is. I can control what I control, which is really what? How I show up. Am I empowered? Can I control the outcome? Yes or no? Somebody does something else, has nothing to do with me. Do I get triggered by it? Nope. Now, if it's inside my business or something that is, that's a different story, right? But you got to be where you train yourself. Is this natural for most people? No, because you live in a world that's designed to trigger you. Social media, right? They call it rage bait, simple things that you sucked in to worry about you can't control. Because the minute you can take you off that, guess what? You don't control your own stuff. And so what's the way to get around this? Number one, you got to get good at learning this skill set, right? Number two, you got to really good at input, which is what? I got to fill my cup. So I come in the morning with a positive mindset. What are the chances I get triggered? Comes in, I have gratitude, I've reached. And most of this is my ability to what? Reframe stories. So the reason you get triggered is you get a story that so-and-so should have done that or so-and-so should have done that. So-and-so shouldn't have cut me off in traffic. But guess what? They did. Right? Oh yeah, big girl, that took 4 minutes when you said, right? Slowed us down. We can get triggered, get mad, let's go to the next thing. So the reality is, I have to make sure I'm reframing the story. I do that myself this morning, right? In a way, I was like, what the hell? This girl's slowing us down. I got time to take my Tuesday meeting. All the stories go crazy. And I'm timing this girl. She's 4 minutes before she even does a set. She sits there. What the hell is going on, right? So for me, it's fun in a way, right? But yes. So point back, I got to go back and do what? Reframe that. I was asking, hey guys, should we wait here for her or should we just do something else? We did something else, moved to the next one, came back. But here's the crazy part. You got to make sure you're going back to this part of refilling it. And you guys threw me off with that one. Oh, I know what it is. I got to get at recognizing the story, fixing the story. Make sense? So that's a key part of all of us with it. But I'm just telling you, like that's the thing. And in that situation, if it affects you, it's something you got to make a decision how to do, right? Slows me down, misses my part, I got to make a different decision. Most people get triggered about that what? Has nothing to do with it. And so that's a key part of that, the different levels. But I want you guys to more practice this. Number 2, be aware. Because I got to make sure I'm staying on top of everything you have. Your most valuable asset is your mindset. You guys with me on this? I don't know why. I didn't really plan this out. I just wrote it down on my notes this morning that is something we need to talk about people getting triggered by external. Because the minute you're off power, now it does affect you. So meanwhile, you have somebody did some that does nothing to do with you, it doesn't affect you, that has you off your game, and now it is affecting you because you let it happen. Does that make sense? And so that's what I want you guys to be aware of as we get to the point of regulated emotion. I want you, the last thing to take is that being triggered or not triggered is a decision. I can make a decision to get triggered or not get triggered. Most people live in a world of default. They're default triggered by everything because of how they came up, how they were brought up, and how they lived the last 10 or 15 years of their life. The good news is you can change it. Okay? It starts a decision. Questions about that? Feedback about that? Yep. And this comes back, some of this comes from this book called The Work by Byron Katie. And she talks about all pain in life comes from arguing with what is. All pain in life comes from arguing what it is, right? So-and-so should have died. So we argue with that reality, which is where the pain comes from. Not that the person died, right? It's hard to say, it's tough to say, but we argue with the reality of what it is, and that's where the pain comes from. So-and-so shouldn't have cut me off in traffic, but they did. So my pain comes from arguing with what actually really did happen. Make sense? So the real difference is understanding what happened and making a decision from there of how I control myself and how I go forward. Make sense? In today's time, you really got to watch out. Before you get road rage, no big deal. Now you do, they pull out a gun and shoot you, you're dead. It happens a lot, right? So you got to be very careful about that stuff today. Business, guess what? You get off your game, ruins your whole day. You make less dials. If you do get connections, you aren't as good on the phones, and it affects the entire day, and then your whole day's ruined. Does it make sense? Buy some that has nothing to do with you. So the most powerful thing you have in this, we'll call it Q4, Q3, they call it like a skill-based time right now. What's happened? The market's going to be a little more difficult, right? Those that have the skill set are going to win. Those that don't have skill set or double down skill set are going to have a tough time. And so I want you guys to go into this with a very strong mindset and the ability to make sure you're protected. Does that make sense?